Like you know you've got all this potential, but this lack of confidence just keeps you from grabbing the steering wheel of your own life? It's a feeling that can leave you totally directionless, kind of paralyzed by fear. Well, we're about to dive into a powerful story that shows exactly how to break that cycle and build a new, confident self literally from the ground up.
This metaphor really it hits home, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling of being tossed around by circumstances instead of, charting your own course. This was the exact reality for a young man whose story we're exploring today. And trust me, this story could be the turning point you've been looking for.
So our story starts with the elder son of a really successful salt merchant. Now this young man was naturally quiet and shy, but in the hustle and bustle of his world, that quietness, well, it was mistaken for foolishness. It was a simple misjudgment, but it was one that would set off a devastating spiral.
And that spiral took the form of a vicious feedback loop. I mean, look at this. It started back in his childhood with his father's constant criticism just shattering his budding confidence. That, of course, led to fear at school, causing him to freeze up during exams. Later on in the family business, that exact same fear and nervousness led to some really costly mistakes. Each failure just confirmed his worst beliefs about himself, which made the next failure even more likely, until it all led to one final catastrophic mistake. Okay, so this is the moment everything came crashing down. Picture this. One day, his father's away, and these cunning men come to the shop. They just so easily trick the nervous young man, telling him his father had sent them to pick up all the salt sacks. He hesitates, and, before he can even gather his thoughts, they're gone, and the shop is completely empty. When his father came back, his rage was absolute. And these weren't just angry words, They were the final, crushing confirmation of every single negative thought the young man had about himself. He felt completely broken, just totally worthless under the weight of his father's disappointment.
With his heart just shattered, he walks down to the riverbank. The mockery from other people, his father's anger, his own feeling of being completely helpless, it all just pushed him right to the edge. He was totally convinced his life was pointless and he was ready to give up. Completely.
But right at that moment, just as he was about to jump, a stranger, a wise old man, grabs his hand and pulls him back. And this man, he saw past the despair. He didn't offer pity, he offered a challenge. He offered a chance to overcome his failure instead of being defined by it. And this, right here, was the critical turning point. So the old man makes him a promise. He says, listen, I have the answer to your problems, but first, you have to follow me for 3 days. If you complete 3 tasks for me, I will change your life. And for the first time in what felt like forever, the young man felt this tiny glimmer of hope.
So, what was the challenge? Well, here it is. 3 tasks over 3 days. Now, on the surface, they might seem kind of random, right? But each one was so strategically designed to dismantle his deepest fears, piece by tiny piece.
And here's the absolute genius of the old man's method. Each task targeted a really specific fear. Task 1, it forced him to face his fear of talking to people, his fear of rejection, head on. The second task proved to him that, hey, even though he felt worthless, he actually had value and knowledge to offer other people. And that final terrifying task, it taught him that facing your biggest fears doesn't bring destruction, it brings the courage to start all over again.
You can literally see the shift happening in real time. He started out so hesitant, but he found that by just patiently trying, he could actually do it. He was terrified to teach those kids, but as he was doing it, he realized his fear was starting to fade. He went from feeling totally worthless to finding the courage to face the one person he feared the most, his own father.
So after mustering up all his courage, he goes and apologizes to his father, who, by the way, sees this incredible change in his son and gives him another chance. The young man then returns to the old man. He did it. He completed the challenge. Now he was ready for that promised secret to success.
And the old man just smiles and explains that the secret, it wasn't some magic formula he could just give him. It was a realization the young man had already experienced for himself. See, his problem was never his quiet nature. His real enemy, the thing that was holding him back all this time, was fear. Unchecked fear.
So what is true strength then? It's not about being born fearless or never being shy. As this story shows us, it's all about building self-belief. It's something you earn, one courageous action at a time, every single time you decide to face your fear, no matter how small that action feels.
And the old man's final piece of wisdom was this.
Your reality on the outside is just a reflection of your state on the inside. When the young man acted with fear, people saw him as weak. But when he started acting with courage and self-belief, the world started to see him that way too. It's that simple. And the proof, as they say, is in the pudding. By consistently applying these lessons, by facing his fears and taking action again and again, the once broken young man transformed his entire life. He became a successful merchant, respected not just for his business smarts, but for his confidence and his character.
So, let's just boil this all down. The crucial point here is that confidence isn't something you're born with, it's a skill that you build. It's built brick by brick every single time you step outside your comfort zone. And the story shows you don't need some huge grand gesture. Small, consistent actions are the real engine of massive transformation.
And that brings us to the final question, the one that turns this amazing story into a tool for your life. It's not about becoming a whole new person overnight. It's just